Hello everyone and welcome to tonight's sitting. See, there we go. Monday. I hope everyone's well, and I thought today that we'd talk a little bit about mindfulness and what mindfulness is, since it's something that I've been looks okay. Something I've been running into the definition of mindfulness, and since we always come here and talk about meditation, but not so often the definitions of meditation, because for me it's something that normally it doesn't really matter that much. There's so many different ways of how you would define meditation and what you want to read into it. And I think it in the long run, the main thing is that you do it. What you call it and what specific version of it that you do is kind of, that's not really the most relevant thing. But it does help to know what is included and what kind of things that move you in a certain direction, because there are different directions that you can take when you do a meditation. And specifically mindfulness is one of those things that is just thrown around so much nowadays. It's I think it's what they call a buzzword. It's just really popular and people like using it, and they might not think about what it actually means or what is included in it. And that's the interesting thing as well. What it actually means depends a bit on you, what you want it to mean. Because hey Nicole, nice to see you. Because I had a conversation, I think it was 2 weeks ago, with a very close friend of mine who works as a masseuse and kind of coach, a little bit everything in between. And she's really into the spiritual and mindfulness approach to helping people heal from mental pain and anguish, anxiety, difficulties in their lives. And we had a discussion and we were talking, and I said, like, well, I don't know what to do, because as some of you know, I'll be losing part of my job, and I don't know exactly what to do with that part of my time, if I'm going to try something with the channel to make that as part of an income, or if I might have to put the channel down because I don't have time, I have to work somewhere else. We'll have to see what happens. But we were discussing mindfulness, and I said, well, I have a lot of experience with mindfulness. I mean, I've done a lot of sitting, and I've watched my mind a lot, so I have a better understanding of how the things you run into than most people do, especially if you've just taken a course to understand the basics of what to do. And we started talking about mindfulness, and I realized that when she said mindfulness in the way that she was describing it, it was quite different from what I consider mindfulness. And I think that comes from the difference of utilization of what we want to use it for. So for me, mindfulness simply means to be aware of the three characteristics of everything, meaning everything is impermanent, there is no self in anything, and everything contains suffering, everything is dukkha. That's the same as vipassana in many ways. But the way it's usually used is like you're mindful of what you're doing. That's how it's usually used. I honestly don't know how prevalent that term is in Buddhism before it became popular in the West. Now everyone sees it as synonymous with Buddhism. It's like it's just one and the same, almost like if you practice Buddhism, you practice mindfulness. But I'm not sure that's actually the truth. I think mindfulness was taken by, I don't remember their name, but there were a few people who meditated and brought Buddhism back to America, and they brought insight meditation and mindfulness, and I think his name was it Jeff Goldblum? Something like that. And I think Jon Kabat-Zinn was part of that group as well. And they brought meditation to America, and then some of them started Zen Buddhism, and there was like different traditions that came from this. And one of them that got really big was mindfulness. And when they brought it here, I have to look this up. Like, I'm not even sure if that was a term that was used before the 1900s. Like, if you go back to like 1800, did anyone use the term mindfulness? Is that something that has been coined by Westerners who took a technique that they found useful for helping people who had anxiety, depression, and other things? So for me, it just means you observe what happens. You don't influence what you're experiencing. You're not trying to change it. You're not trying to to do anything with it. You're just observing what it is, meaning right now I'm sitting here and I'm trying to become aware of my senses. I'm sitting here, I can feel the warmth of my cup in my hand. I can feel the air, the pressure on me, like the feeling of the temperature. I can see the light in my face shining. I can see the screen, and I can feel if there's any emotions coming up from sitting here and talking to you on the other side of that screen. That would be mindfulness to me. But when she started talking about mindfulness, she included a lot of other things that I would not consider to be mindfulness. For her, there was a lot of, I think she called it positive self-image, which is a really big thing now, apparently, meaning that talking to yourself in a positive way. So the way you talk in your mind, we're often very negative. Most people are very negative in how they talk about themselves, discuss themselves, compared to how we talk to other people. If we talk to other people the way many of us talk to ourselves, that would not make for a good friend. Like, most people would not accept that kind of talk from you. But we do it to ourselves. So she included that in mindfulness, which for me makes no sense. That's like something completely different. It makes sense from the perspective of how do we learn to feel better? How do we shift our mood into something that is nicer and more mental well-being? From that perspective, yes, I can understand it. And then we got into it, and I was trying to describe my point, and she got a bit upset. Like, said, well, you have to let go of the idea of what mindfulness is. And I kind of like, well, I don't really have anything against it. I actually think it can be very good for some people, even though for me it misses the point a little bit. It's not that we're trying to change how we feel. We're trying to be established in the experience of being here. But at the same time, if you are feeling really bad, if you're going through a rough period where you just feel so negative, everything is so bad, then yes, absolutely make sure you get out of that. And looking at how you talk to yourself and changing that into something positive could be a really useful thing to do. And there were many other techniques, I can't actually come up with them right now, that she described and called mindfulness, which for me was not what I would call mindfulness. It would be techniques that, it would be like calling the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method a mindfulness technique, which actually it is. I actually think that is a pretty good mindfulness technique, because it focuses just on our, okay, sorry, I take that back. It would be like including a psychologist's tools in mindfulness to make it more effective for people who are suffering from anxiety, depression, or other things. And that could be a really good thing, because then you're actually using it towards what you want it to be. I see Nicole say, I agree with you, Martin, but maybe she thinks this is mindful speech. It's like mindful speech. Exactly, so mindful speech is something very different from mindfulness. Mindful speech is a really good thing to have, being aware of what you're saying and thinking of how your actions are like being received by the other person. That's a really good thing to do. Yeah, that makes sense, kind of. Maybe she did see it like that. It was more that for her, that was mindfulness, and she included those things in mindfulness. So she just had a much wider view of mindfulness than I do. And I believe in bringing things to the very basic constituents, like the very smallest parts, because the more you add on, the more you leave room to confuse things. So it's the same as with mindful speech. Mindful speech is a really good habit to learn, to be aware of how you speak. But at the same time, if you don't look at what you feel like when you do mindful speech could actually hurt you, because all of a sudden, let's say you have ADHD, like I live with someone who has, and they just throw things out left and right. Like, I just feel this, I think this, oh, I feel bad because you said, well, and they just throw out, and they don't think about it. It just kind of goes out. Then that can hurt people around them, because they're not aware of how their speech is being received by other people. When you start being aware of what you're saying to other people and how that's being received, all of a sudden you might start having a lot of distortions, a lot of suffering, a lot of pressure against the outside world. All of a sudden it's like, oh, I have to perform, I have to do this in a good way. If I don't, then I'm a bad person, I won't be accepted. And they might start feeling bad from mindful speech, because they didn't understand the fundamental underlying principles of why they were doing it. So as soon as you add something on top of just experiencing, you add the possibility that can be misunderstood and lead to something that's actually negative, because that could cause that person who before never thought about what they were saying, was just throwing out everywhere, that could cause them to now start feeling bad, because now they're creating more pressure against, like, oh, I never realized that I was so bad at talking, like, and I just throw it out everywhere, and they might start judging themselves. For the people around them, it's a really good exercise. And ultimately, it's hopefully a good exercise for them as well, because by being aware of what they're saying to other people, it means that other people will receive them in a different way than they might do now. It might be easier for them to move around in the world. They might not create as much friction as many people who get upset with them if they have that happening. So again, it's as soon as we start adding other exercises on top of this, it's easy to get caught up in the outcome rather than why we're doing it, which is why I like to bring things really back to it. It's just about experiencing life and enjoying life. If you want to all practice whatever technique it is, just bringing back to learn how to enjoy and really appreciate being alive. Just bring it to that. If you would enjoy being alive, if you would really appreciate life, the way it feels to be here, you would do mindful speech, because you would be aware of what's happening, and you would see. You wouldn't feel like, oh, I'm saying something and I'm worried about how they're going to receive it. It would more be interesting. Oh, when I say this, people react in this way. Well, that's interesting. How about if I say it this way? Oh, that's a completely different reaction. Well, I want them to be happy, so I'll do this. Which is very different from when you're doing speech based on how people are receiving you and then feeling guilt over what you're doing, or that's something else. So bringing it down to the basics, really enjoying and appreciating life, and then from there, absolutely learn how to interact with the world in a skillful way, it's called in Buddhism. Like, not the right way, but a skillful, meaning if I want other people to, like, say I want to be a leader, a skillful way would be like learning how to get other people to do what I want them to do while at the same time enjoying it. That would be skillful, rather than being good at manipulating people or convincing people to do what I want. That's a different way of viewing it. So we're not focused on the outcome, we're focused on what we're doing right now. And that ultimately for me is what mindfulness is. Just being aware of what you're doing and what's happening, and learning to enjoy that, because if you don't, then it's kind of, that's just neutrality. And as Nicole is saying, I heard today that someone asked a Zen master the secret to life, and he said, start with a smile. It's a good way to do it, for sure. Hey, Esperanza Libertad. Nice to see you, Tim. It's Tim, right? There's another guy who I confuse you with sometimes. How's the martial arts? No, you were MMA training, right? If I can remember correctly. And I think you had that on this day, which was unfortunate because you stopped coming. We have another member who hasn't been here for a few months, and I got a message from him just the other day that he's finished. He's been hiking up in the mountains, beautiful area, and I think he's coming back. Tim, yeah, no MMA anymore. Oh, okay, you stopped. Didn't like it? Didn't suit you? I wish I had the body so that I could do that stuff, but I'd just break my neck if I did anything like that. I used to do jiu-jitsu, and I really enjoy that. Nowadays, I'm happy if I can run. I usually don't. By the way, I have a cold coming on. I am so worn and tired, so we'll see. It might be that during the guided meditation, I stop guiding and we'll just sit. So we'll see how that goes. If it's too bad, I'll just stop and we'll just sit together. How you been otherwise, Tim? Has things been good? Let's see if there's anything else. Okay. I have very pacifist phases, and it was too expensive for not going multiple weeks. Yeah. Well, you can still practice those things and be a pacifist. Happy to hear that. It's the kind of thing, I have a bot that sometimes like starts deleting comments because people do too much stuff. Don't know what happened. Yeah, it was like you were so happy, so it's like. I think that it's important with anything you do that has to do with practice or life in general to just think of what you actually want from this. What outcome are you after? Why are you doing this? Like, what is it that you're after? And I think many people miss that what they're actually after is they want to enjoy life. They want to feel good. They say, no, I don't do that. I do it because I want to help people. Yeah, why do you not want to help people? Because you like the feeling of helping people. Well, I need to make sure that I save this person, save myself, that I earn enough money to buy the house, to pay for this thing, to have all those things that come back to enjoying life. Really to just be able to enjoy life. And it's interesting because one of the things mindfulness helps you with is separate the physical sensations from the distortions. One of the reasons that it's really good for pain is that if you have pain, like I have a lot of pain in my neck, I'm so used to pain that I've watched it a lot. And you can see that for pain, there's two parts. There's the physical pain, which is especially chronic pain. Chronic pain is usually not that intense, but it's constant. It's always there. And the problem is it's always there. It's pushing and it's pushing and it's pushing. And then ultimately it's like, oh, and then you start going like that. And then you start doing the distortion. You start pushing against, I don't want this. I don't want this. Mindfulness can really help with not doing this part. It does not take away the pain. If anything, you feel the pain more clearly, but you're not doing this towards it. And it's so much easier to handle when you're not doing this. So by being aware and taking away the resistance, pain is easy and it's very big. This is also another thing that people miss with practices like this. They say, I've taken care of pain. I've looked at pain. I've looked at the anger I have towards my father because of what he did when I was a child, or the anger I have towards my ex because of what they did to me when we were whatever it is. Like we look at those big things, but what you don't realize that just existing, you have a non-acceptance of just being here. There's this feeling like, I don't want it like this. I want it a little bit different. Or I like this. So I want to keep this now. And you have a relationship towards things. You pull them towards you, or you push them away from you. And when you learn to let go of that, that's when you have those moments. I can watch pictures sometimes and almost feel, you see I see pictures of France, and I can smell the smells of the cobblestone pavements and the alleyways where everyone pisses and like there's dogs peeing, and there's smells. And then you walk by a boulangerie and there's this smell of freshly baked pain au chocolat in the morning, and it's just the sense and the freshness in the air combined with, there's always a little scent of like urine and garbage, like in cities in France many times, depending on where you are, of course. And the mornings and the quietness and just some people like walking by and the atmosphere. I can get that feeling when I don't push against being there. In other words, when you're on vacation, you don't do that because everything is new, everything is fresh. So what we're trying to do is to learn to see the world like that all the time. And that's easier when we're on vacation. It's easier when you're in love and you're really there experiencing the world, when you're doing something that really fully engages all your senses in just being there. That's what it's like to be liberated, because you're no longer tied down with the personality saying like, I've been here 1,000 times, I don't like this. And that's the thing. I have another friend who loves to read, and she used to say like, I wish I lived in Rome. Oh my God, I'd be so happy. I'd just sit at cafes and read books the whole time. And I said that, I think she'd been there to vacation and had that feeling experience. If she would live there, it wouldn't be the same, because then it would be the same thing over again after a while. You start having a relationship to it. It wouldn't be new. It wouldn't be novel. It wouldn't be the first time you felt like you experienced this. You wouldn't see it clearly. But you can learn to do this, and you don't need to go away. You don't need to change life. You don't need to leave your partner to enjoy the relationship you're in. You don't need to move to another country. It's the skill of seeing the world as it truly is. the Maya Indians, I think they actually called it Maya, if I remember correctly, which was this veil that was in between us and the world. This veil that just makes it very difficult to see the world as it is, because the world is beautiful. Life is enjoyable, and it is nice to be alive when you're not pushing against it. As you know, like, I have the pain in my neck. I'm going through some pretty difficult personal things right now, and my sleep is absolutely crap. I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning, and I still haven't slept. I am exhausted, and I've had that for several days now. I'm so tired, I'm just looking forward to go to bed. But if you give me the enough rest and time during the day and the right circumstances, I am able to really enjoy being here. It's just much more difficult when you have things be against you, but you can still do that. You don't need the world to be perfect. You don't need everything to be a certain way so that you say, if I could only have that, then I'll be happy. If I can only be there, then I will be happy. When this happens, then I will truly enjoy being alive, and I will be happy. Just choose happiness now. You don't need to wait. Mindfulness is awesome for that. That's one of the things that mindfulness is really good at doing, is making sure you observe the world as it is now. But as we were discussing before, when you start adding extra things on top of that, all of a sudden you're not seeing the world as it is. Now you're adding other things which may be good to bring you out of a state of feeling anxiety, feeling bad, which absolutely, first you make sure you stop the bleeding so you're not like gonna bleed out. Or like when you're on a plane, just make sure you get the mask on yourself, then start fixing the other stuff. That is your highest priority to begin with. Make sure you feel okay, then start focusing on the other stuff. So I'm not against this. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying, I think when we discuss this, oh, that's not mindfulness. In hindsight, I'm kind of like, well, that was not correct by me to say that, because if enough people say that's what mindfulness is, then that's what mindfulness is. It's what's being practiced as mindfulness here, and that's absolutely okay. It has a specific outcome thereafter. It's just not the outcome that I see that it can do. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone doesn't have to have the same beliefs and ideas I do. Nicole, I was just going to say, what you're describing now, that is mindfulness. That's how I see it. And can you see how when you see that, compared to, oh, let's change how you talk to yourself, make that positive, make sure you feel warm thoughts, and that you're, like, that's something else. That can be very useful. But that's something different from what I'm trying to describe and help people do. And at the same time, I can see how there's different times for different techniques and different methods. And I always say this, I don't believe there's a wrong or a right method to meditate. There's so many different methods. There's not a right or wrong method of therapy. There's so many methods. It's just specific to the individual and to the outcome that you're after. If you want to really break free of, like, say, anxiety, of like really deep, difficult sensations, breath work is amazing. Do really strong breathing and completely change your physiology. Very useful, really powerful, very quick to do that. But if that's the only practice you do, you're going to get a lot of strong self, because it makes you feel powerful. It makes you feel strong, which is one of the reasons a lot of people who are into the more, should I call that, more intensive, like where you meditate longer, don't like breathwork, because it's not something you can do long term, and it's not really useful for letting go of the sense of self in that way. It can let go of distortions, absolutely. So knowing what outcome you're after and knowing what technique helps you with that is very useful, and not seeing it as good or bad, but it can be good in this circumstance and not so good for this circumstance, because here it doesn't really help. And mindfulness, again, I don't even know if mindfulness is a term that existed before, like 200 years back. I'm honestly not sure. I'll have to look up that. I'll talk to Google. ChatGPT or Gemini is what I use. Nice. I thought that I'd actually start doing this a bit more. I'll come in with a topic for the videos. For the streams. Because I like to have it a bit more focused also. When there's a lot of people, which right now I haven't released videos in a long time. So there's not a lot of new traffic coming to the channel, which is quite natural. I still enjoy it. I'm very happy some people come. I have the first video is actually being scripted now, so I'm starting to ramp up, and I think around Christmas time there will be some new videos, and I'm very happy with the direction that I'm going and taking it. So I feel like I needed those months to just get away and rethink what I was doing. And then now when life is changing a bit and I'm thinking more about, okay, actually, if I'm going to continue this, I need to make it into some sort of revenue so that I can earn money doing it. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for me to make it possible to do what I've done before, because it requires so much time. People don't understand that, but it takes a lot of time to do this. Even something like this, the live streams, that's one of the easiest and quickest things I can do, but it still requires time and effort. So, for those of you new, we usually discuss like this. Now we're doing a topic. After that, we do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, which is a way of coming back to our senses. After that, we'll have a guided meditation for 20 minutes. Let's just put the timer on. We will see today. I have a cold, so I am not entirely sure how well my voice is going to hold up. I have really strong tickling in my throat. I took a coughing pill before, so hopefully that's enough, but we'll see. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method is really a good method for doing mindfulness. What we do is we say out aloud 5 things we can see, 4 things we can feel, 3 things we can hear, 2 things we can smell, and 1 thing that we can taste. And when we do that, we try to really bring it down to the smallest thing in what we're seeing. So I'll start out and you can say it yourself on your end. I see a tube with my throat pills, my coughing pills. And when I look at this, I try to not have a feeling like, oh, I like this, I don't like this. I really try to see it. Just as I said before when I was talking about what it's like to walk in an alley in France, I see just the things that this is giving me. I see the curvature, I see there's a really cool reflection, like it's like a lightning rod kind of, when I do like this. I can see the colors, I can see the different materials, I can see the shape, and when I turn it, it changes. And it's fresh, it's new, it's like being on vacation. It's the first time I see this. If you learn to look at the world this way, it really is something you can learn to experience the world as if though it's new, as if though it's fresh. But we want to involve the self and think like, oh, this is not new, I've seen this before. That's why you're not feeling like you're feeling when you're on vacation. And that's why it's so amazing to go on vacation. And you can see that way right now. So really try to look at this as if though you've never seen it and go, whoa, that's cool. Huh. And there's all this stuff here. So I see this tube. And obviously do it on your end. Don't say you see the tube just because you see it on the screen. Unless you want to. I see a stand for my web camera. And when I was looking at it now, my eyes caught there's like a ring of gold with lots of stripes on it that really reflects light, and like, wow, that's cool. That's really nice to see. I enjoy looking at that. And there's different colors, it's like golden, and then it turns around with different colors. I see an office chair. I see a plant. And I see a Buddha statue. That's 5 things that I could see. I should take 4 things that we can feel. I can feel my hair. And I can feel my scalp. Because when I touch my hair, I like sensations in my scalp. And when you're doing this, try to enjoy it. Try to really feel like, oh, it's nice to be touched. We're not trying to separate ourselves from the world. We're trying to really be in the world and enjoy the world. I can feel my legs. And I can feel a tickling in my throat. Four things I could feel. Next we take 3 things we can hear. a fan of one of the lamps. I can hear another fan in the computer. It's a more high-pitched sound. I can hear a car passing by. There's 3 things I can hear. Next we take 2 things that we can smell. I can smell bad breath. And I can smell fabric. 2 things I can smell. Finally we take 1 thing that we can taste. There's a metallic taste. Almost like blood, but not quite blood. So start by bringing your awareness to your breath. Just start being aware of breath happening. We're not trying to control the breath. We're not trying to feel every single nuance of the breath. Instead, we're just being aware of breath happening. Now, when we sit down like this, it's easy to get confused or to bring in too many things into the practice. But I want you to just limit it to awareness of breath happening. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't look for something that isn't there, or don't strain yourself to experience all the smallest details of the breath. Many times people can't feel the actual physical sensations of the breath, especially when the breath goes really calm and quiet. Instead, just be aware that breath is happening. It's almost like a field that you can feel moving in and out, in and out, in and out the whole time. And as you feel it, enjoy it. It's nice to breathe. The feeling of breathing is enjoyable. It's almost pleasurable at times. You can also appreciate, meaning appreciate how incredible it is. The breath is just moving. Like as you're sitting there, this thing called the body, which is your body, you have control over it. It's moving air in and out, in and out. That's incredible. All the things that have to happen for breath to move through your lungs, that's insane. That's more advanced than any computer, any machine that any human can make. Really appreciate the experience of breathing. And even though you've had your breath for different amounts of time, but for many, many years, try to see it with fresh eyes, with new eyes, with a new perspective. It's your breath. It's happening now. What does it feel like? What does it taste like? What is it like to breathe? Be aware of that breath. Be happy about that breath. Enjoy that breath. Now, it is easy if you're coming from something that was intense before, or maybe you've had some intense experience that is making you pull your awareness to the past or into some scary future, it's easy to miss all of this because you're busy with thinking about something that isn't real because it's not now, it's not here. It can be real somewhere else, but it's not your experience right now. All you need to do is just focus on this experience, this moment, this breath. That's all you need to do. Life is simple. Life is easy. Life is enjoyable when you learn to observe and experience it just from the perspective of what's happening right now, right here. That as soon as you start involving the sense of self, it starts depending itself. Oh, they said this to me, I don't like that. Oh, I really like what they said to me. That's so unfair. I wish I had. I really wish I hadn't. Can someone please help me with this? Oh, I don't like that. But I do like that. All of those things create a pressure. And the pressure is where the sense of self resides. That's where you feel that you exist. That's where you separate yourself from your experience of just being, of just knowing, of just having this most simple, this most clear and clean experience of reality, which is just the sensate with the senses experience of touch, breath, smell, taste, hearing, whatever your senses are showing you, without the filter, without the destruction of your experience by the self coming in and judging, analyzing, wanting, craving, trying to get away from. Now continue to move your awareness around in your body as you're breathing in and out, in and out. And if there's somewhere there's tension or pressure or something uncomfortable, just look at that and see, is this me? Am I here? Who is this? And let go. Is that you? Is that pain who you are? How about that feeling you have towards that thing that happened before? Is that you? Are you in there? And just be aware. Always use your breath as your anchor, as you're moving around and experiencing what is it like to be alive right now, right here. What is it like to enjoy and appreciate being alive? learning to enjoy your experience can be a bit difficult at first. We are so used to focusing on the negative things. We're so used to experiencing the difficult things. In fact, we pay way much more attention to when we're feeling bad compared to when we're feeling good. It's almost unnatural to enjoy feeling good, because to many it makes more sense to focus on the bad feelings, because you want them to go away. The problem is, when you're focusing on bad feelings or difficult emotions, in many ways you're just making them stronger. We go in and we feel the bad feelings and we look at the thoughts that arise from them, and we try to understand, to analyze, to philosophize. Why did this happen to me? Why am I like this? Did I deserve this? They didn't deserve this. We're so used to experiencing the difficult parts, but when a good feeling emotion comes by, we just say, well, that was nice. And then we start looking for something to feel bad again. We're not used to enjoying life. It's scary to enjoy life. The reason it's scary to enjoy it is because what would happen if I just felt good? Maybe I'd just sit still in the sofa and do nothing. Maybe I would be hurt. Maybe something bad would happen to me. I can't just sit here and just feel good. But when you truly feel good and enjoy being alive, life is an adventure without the excitement. Life has the freshness of an early spring morning with the scent of dew in the air and just forest, birds singing, sunrises. Life is enjoyable when you learn to focus on enjoying it rather than not wanting it to be what it is. Rather than believing that if I can just change this thing, then I'll allow myself to feel happy. If I can just have this one thing, then I'll be content. But that one thing, that change, is never what you were looking for. There will always be the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. Instead, just focus on enjoying whatever it is that you're experiencing right now, right here. It's all you need. Thank you so much for a really nice sitting. Tim, it's nice to have you back. Sorry to hear about the MMA, but I hope you'll you MMA your meditation instead and go really mixed meditation arts. That's a new technique I'm gonna start. A new way of practicing. I hope you all have good evening. I hope you all have a really nice week, and I'll see you back on Thursday again. Thank you.